Well, in chapter 6 of our textbook, and then in my 12 keys lecture, just a little bit in there, and then in my first search marketing lecture, we talk some about online advertising where you're paying for that advertising. Okay? And we really can't leave the topic of web marketing without at least getting an introduction to what people do online, what web marketers do online to track the effectiveness of online advertising campaigns. Right? Like Tom Cruise is yelling here, show me the money. You know, you're not doing the campaigns just for fun. You're trying to make money. And so what this presentation does, is tracking online ad campaigns, is it just does a flyover of some of the ways that businesses track whether or not ads that they have are effective.
Well, there are 3 keys to achieving an acceptable return on investment on your ad spend, on the amount of money you spend on advertising. The first key is knowing or learning how to write ad copy that attracts attention and that introduces an offer and identifies the audience and motivates a prospect to click on the ad. You have to know about that. And that copy includes the little text ads that appear in Google AdWords, and it also includes what's on your land.
So part of that copy is on landing pages for an ad. And I wish we had more time to talk about landing pages and their design, but we just don't in this class. But a landing page is the page it's the page you send potential customers to when they click on one of your advertisements. Okay? And ordinarily a landing page isn't your home page. Instead, it's a page that is related to what the ad is, and it's trying to get the customer to do whatever it is you want to do. Close a sale, sign up for the newsletter, whatever it is. So the second key to achieving an acceptable return on investment for your online ad spend is knowing or learning how to develop an effective landing page for an ad. Excuse me. So, once again, a landing page is the page to which the prospect is taken when an ad is clicked. And what landing pages do is they take over where the ad left off. And there's a whole science and art to developing these, but the idea is they are designed to maintain the prospect's interest. They're designed to repeat whatever the offer in the ad is, and they're designed to persuade him or her to finalize the transaction. And if you do not have an effective landing page, or if you don't have effective landing pages, then most ad campaigns are going to be failures. So you need to know how to write good copy, or you need to learn how to write good copy. I might also say that if you don't know how, you hire somebody to write good copy, and you need to know how to develop an effective landing page, or you need to learn how to do that, or you need to hire someone who knows how to do that and has a good record of it. So those are the first 2 keys. Finally, the third key to achieving an acceptable return on investment on your ad spend is knowing how to track or determine the success of an individual ad or an advertising campaign. And that's what the focus of this presentation is, right? It's tracking online advertising results. Like Sherlock here, over to the right, it's being able to follow those tracks that have been left on your website and elsewhere online that can show you whether or not an advertisement is effective.
And there's some good news about this. You know, television and radio and print advertisers have an old saying. Now, this isn't the good news. But their saying is, you know that half your advertising isn't working for you. You just don't know which half. That's bad news. But the good news for online advertising is that adage, that saying there, you know that half your advertising isn't working for you, you just don't know which half, that doesn't apply to online ads. It does not apply to online ads. The online marketer, as I said, can determine the effectiveness of an online ad campaign. You can follow those footprints, and you can do it fairly easily if you understand the tools that are available to you. There's some more good news. Web marketers used to have to pay relatively high prices for specifically designed ad tracking software. It used to cost quite a lot to do this. But the good news is, at least here in the West, here in the United States, that's no longer the case, particularly for small and medium-sized enterprises, small and medium-sized businesses, who of course could afford the least to pay the high prices to track ads. But they don't have to anymore. They have to devote some time, but they don't have to pay the high prices. And the reason for that is there's some very robust, very good ad tracking software there, and it's available for little or no out-of-pocket cost. Just your time. Just your time.
Let's take a quick look at some examples of free or reasonable cost ad tracking software. Okay? Google's ad program that puts those ads on search engine results pages. Remember, we distinguished between pay-per-click ads on search engine result pages and the organic search results. Well, Google's program for putting results on those pages is called AdWords. And AdWords, besides providing a way for Google's advertisers to advertise on those search engine result pages, also has great ad tracking software, great ad tracking ability associated with it. Now, the king of ad tracking software is also made available by Google, and it's called Google Analytics. And originally, Google Analytics was completely free to users. Now what Google has is both a free version, which is really robust, it's really powerful, but then they also have a more powerful version for which they charge. But Google Analytics can help you track ads too. And there are also third-party affiliate program software out there. One example is Post Affiliate Pro, that allows you to track the results of affiliate programs. We've learned what those are. It's when you run an affiliate program, you basically pay people to send you potential customers, or pay them if they send you someone who actually purchases something on your site. So there's software that helps track that basically kind of ad. And finally, Google has a division called DoubleClick that does banner ads, the big ads that you see on some web pages. And banner ad software like Google's DoubleClick also lets you track the effectiveness of online ads. We'll talk a little bit about each of these, or at least you'll learn a little bit about each of these.
Well, why analyze ad tracking data? Why do we want to analyze data to track ads? And, the answer is if marketers don't do this, if you have a website and you're the marketer, or you own a website and you have marketers, if they don't do this, they still won't know how much their ad spend should be. You won't know how much you should spend on advertising. Why spend if it's not effective? Spend more if it is effective, right? And if you don't know how much to spend, there are consequences, right? One of the biggest consequences is there'll be a great reduction in or elimination of the bottom line of your firm's income statement. That bottom line will drop because you'll be spending on ineffective ads. You'll have costs and you'll not be getting any benefits. Well, what kind of effectiveness indicators are associated with ads? What kind of information do we want to know to be able to say whether ads are effective? Now, to make wise decisions regarding your ad spend, there is a basic set of effectiveness indicators that you need to understand. You need to understand click-through rate. You've learned that term in this class. Conversion rate, you've learned that term. Cost per sale, and return on investment. You need to understand those things, okay? And so what we're going to do is talk a little bit more about each of them. I'm going to discuss those on the following slides. Click-through rate, which you have studied about, we've talked about it. A click-through occurs when the viewer of an ad clicks on the ad with the objective of being transported to the advertiser's website. It's a click-through that gets the ad's viewer to your landing page, in other words. So, an ad's click-through rate is the ratio of the total number of click-throughs on a particular ad to the total number of times the ad's been displayed, expressed as a percentage. The ad's been displayed so many times, so many viewers clicked on it. What percentage of viewers clicked on it? And what the click-through rate does is it helps a web marketer understand how effective a particular advertisement is in attracting people to his or her website. And ordinarily, they're coming into your website on a custom designed landing page for that ad, as we discussed when we were talking about landing pages. Okay, let's look at an example of a click. Let's say a particular ad shows up, is displayed by Google or whoever's displaying it 20,000 times. And from that 20,000 displays, the advertiser gets 200 click-throughs. What's the click-through rate? You can do that in your heads, can't you? The click-through rate would be 1%. That's 200 click-throughs divided by 20,000 ad impressions. So the whole concept of click-through rate, fairly easy to understand, right? Now let's go on and talk about conversion rate.
Now let's talk about the conversion rate. The conversion rate is the ratio of people who actually complete a transaction to the number of people who visit the advertiser's landing page expressed as a percentage. So we have an ad, a certain percentage click on that ad, they come to your landing page. The conversion rate is answering the question, what percentage of those who came to your website or to your landing page as a result of the ad actually made a purchase, actually completed the transaction you wanted them to complete. It could be made a purchase, it could be complete a subscription form, it could be donate money to a cause, it could be give you their email address so you'll send them your newsletter, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so let's continue that example from the previous slide. We had 200 click-throughs arrive at the web marketer's landing page. We had an ad, it was displayed 20,000 times. We had a 1% click-through rate, so 200 arrived at our landing page. And let's say the marketer sold to 10 of these click-throughs. Of these people who actually came to the landing page, 10 did what you wanted them to. In this case, I'm using the word sold. You sold something to them. Okay? Well, the conversion rate would be 5%. 10 sales divided by 200 click-throughs. That's conversion rate. A fairly easy concept to understand. By the way, this graphic in the lower right of the screen, I think explains conversion rate fairly well too. Sometimes cartoons or a picture are worth a whole bunch of Pettijohn's words.
Cost per sale is also known as, do you know the acronym AKA? AKA, also known as acquisition cost. And what cost per sale tells you is the actual dollar cost of advertising for a product or a service. Tells you the actual dollar cost of advertising for each sale of a product or service. Not just what the ad cost, not just what you pay Google or what you pay Baidu, but what did each sale cost when you take your sales and compare them to your advertising advertising expenditures. Let's continue with the example. Let's assume that the marketer in our example is paying Google AdWords 25 cents for each click-through. 25 cents for each click-through. So, the total advertising cost for the 200 click-throughs is $50. 200 times 25 cents, $50. Right? So, the cost per sale is that's just the arithmetic for the above one. So the cost per sale is $5. That's the $50 total ad cost divided by 10 sales, right? The $50 ad cost divided by 10 sales. So, do you understand that concept? If not, tell the GAs and to jot down a question about it, and we'll get it answered. Okay, so it's the actual dollar cost of advertising for each sale. Which leads us to return on investment. That leads us to the logical thing, return on investment. What kind of return are we getting on our advertising investment? It's a big deal for advertisers. I listen to lots of online webinars and read lots of online newsletters about this subject. Everybody's talking about return on investment. So let's think about our example. how do you know if $5 is a reasonable cost per sale? How do you know that? And the answer is you can't know unless you compute one more indicator. And that's the ad's return on investment. And what return on investment tells you is the rate of return you're getting for each dollar of an ad's or a campaign's ad spend. The rate of return you're getting for each dollar of a campaign's ad spend. And all return on investment is the ratio of earnings, or we hope not, but maybe loss on an investment divided by the amount invested and just expressed as a percentage. Now, and whereas the other three indicators are reasonably simple to calculate and understand, ROI can be difficult to compute, and there's several reasons why it can be. It sounds pretty simple on this slide, but there are some reasons why it could be difficult to compute. There's some problems with computing it. Let's move on and take a look at those problems with return on investment. The problems with return on investment. Sales are quantifiable. If we're a website that sells stuff, if we're an e-commerce site, return on investment is fairly easy to calculate. Not completely easy, but fairly easy. But what if the purpose of my ad, what if my conversion goal is to obtain leads or free subscriptions to a newsletter I have? Those things are more difficult to quantify. So that's one problem. Think of this problem. People often return to a website several times following that initial click-through before they buy. So how do you know that that initial click-through actually converts to a sale if the sale comes on a subsequent visit? Understand that? We've talked about the fact that people may come back several times before we buy. So we're still getting a return on our advertising investment if they purchase later on, but that makes it more complicated, doesn't it? Finally, the third one of these problems I wanted to mention, doesn't mean these are the only ones, but these are the ones that are most obvious, most easy to understand. Most experts believe that return on investment should not be computed simply on the first sale to a customer from an ad. Instead, it's more like it's the lifetime value of those customers acquired during an ad campaign. That's important. But that value is difficult to estimate. Clear back probably 14, 15 years ago, I saw my first Amazon.com ad. And I think they even had an incentive for me to buy, rewarded me with a significant amount of money to make my first purchase. So the ad cost Amazon something, the money they gave me cost something, but I've been a customer for 15 years. How do you estimate that? Well, companies can collect that data, right? So what I'm saying is working with return on investment can be more complicated, but given that, let's just look at a simple example, continue our little simple example to at least conceptually understand how it's calculated. We can compute a simple return on investment in our little example. First, we need some definitions. So the first one is what gross profit equals. That's not a negative sign, by the way, in front of gross profit. That's just gross profit equals sales revenues minus cost of goods sold, like you've learned in accounting. So you have to know what gross profit is, and then you have to know that we're going to calculate return on investment by taking gross profit, subtracting our advertising costs, and dividing that by the advertising cost. That's the return on the investment. Gross profit minus ad cost divided by ad cost, expressed as a percentage, is return on investment. Now let's look at two scenarios about this. Two different ways this could go for the little company in our example. Scenario 1. Let's assume we're selling a tangible product and we're selling it for $40 and it costs us $20. Okay? In our example. Again, remember we're continuing through an example here. So our gross profit is that $40 revenue less the $20 cost of goods sold. And our return on investment then would be that $20 gross profit less the $5 cost per sale, advertising cost per sale, divided by the $5 advertising cost per sale, or that's a 300% return on investment. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay? We would like for all of our ads to produce that kind of return, but they all don't. Let's look at the second example, second scenario. By the way, this is 300% is really, really good, so what will you probably do? We do need to talk about that before we go on. What would you do? 300% return on that ad's good, so what would you probably do? Continue the ad, right? Continue buying those keywords. Continue showing that ad. Whatever it is. Now, let's look at scenario 2. Scenario 2 says, assume you're selling for $10 a tangible product with a wholesale cost of $6. So now we're selling it for $10. It has a cost of $6. Here's how we compute the return on investment. Gross profit is equal to the $10 revenue less the $6 cost of goods sold, or $4. And return on investment is equal to that $4 gross profit less, the $5 cost per sale divided by the $5 cost per sale. So now we have a negative 20% return on investment. Not too good. Here we're losing 20 cents each time we spend $1 on advertising. Not good. So in this case, the more we spend, the more we lose. And if you did not understand cost per sale and return on investment, you wouldn't be aware of this, would you? And the consequences of that could range from not very good to really, really bad if you just kept spending and spending and spending on ads that did not provide you with a return on investment. Okay? So the negative case here in scenario 2 shows us especially why we need to be able to compute these figures. Now, you should be asking yourself a question at this point, and that question is the one posed on the, and that's, show me the numbers. Where are the numbers? Where to get the numbers? How do I get the numbers to do this? Where can I get them? And part 2 of this discussion that we'll go to in just a minute or two tries to answer for you where and how you can get these numbers. Remember why we analyze ad tracking data? It's because if marketers don't do this, they won't know how much their ad spend should be. And the consequence of that is a great reduction or elimination in the bottom line of their firm's income statement. Right? Makes sense. And some more review here. Remember those effectiveness indicators that we need to make wise decisions regarding our ad spend. There are 4 of those: the click-through rate, the conversion rate, the cost per sale, and the return on an investment. So how do we get the numbers to compute those? Well, that's what this part of the presentation is all about. It goes on for a while. It's much longer than part 1 of this topic. The presentation's on this topic. And along the way, it has some what I'd call kind of techie stuff in there. But again, it's marketing. It's not really programming. It's marketing. And if it is programming, it's the kind of programming that a marketer needs to understand the basics of, or they can't talk to their web designers, their website designers. Okay? So, where do we get the numbers to compute those indicators? Where do those numbers come from? That's what this is all about. Where we get them.
Before we go any farther, however, I need to mention that the only thing that we can do here is get a simple introduction to this topic on gathering the numbers, right? We can only get an introduction. I call it a concise discussion of the numbers that can be obtained using the widely available software that I've mentioned. All we can do is just kind of get into them. To do that, we'll be viewing some Google tutorials. Now, these will take a bit of time, but you will learn a whole lot from them, right? You'll learn a whole lot from them. And so this presentation from this point on to the end is a little bit different. It'll go along, it will have me narrating some slides as I've been doing, but there are at least 2 times during it where I'm going to say, now stop and view these Google tutorials. And sometimes that viewing, as I said, will take you a bit of time to go through. But it's good stuff, it's practical stuff. It's not Pettijohn talking about this software that's the most widely used. Instead, you're getting it, as we used to say, from the horse's mouth. You're getting it from Google. Okay? So we're just limited on time, so that means what we'll be doing is getting an introduction to the basic capabilities. We're getting an introduction to the basic capabilities of the software that we're discussing, the ones we're going to be mentioning here. And my goal in this is to just provide you with enough information to get you started with the software so that ad effectiveness can be measured. If you actually are in a position to use this, this discussion lets you know that the software is out there and lets you know what that software can do. Now, the first one of these tools that I want to talk about here that'll help you get those numbers is Google AdWords. And if your ad spend campaign involves Google AdWords, then you have access to a fairly complete assortment of the statistics you need to measure effectiveness. Google provides you with a lot of good stuff. Okay? Now, it's my opinion that the best way to learn about Google AdWords is to view Google's 2 AdWords tutorials. And to watch these, you're going to find a link on the next slide on which you can click to get to them. By the way, Google doesn't just have 2 AdWords tutorials, but these are the 2 introductory ones that I'd like you to view. And they'll take you a while to work through. You'll spend some time with them, but you will learn a whole lot in the process of viewing them. When you look at tutorial 1, you'll see that it includes 5 steps, which basically amounts to 5 little videos you have to go through. I think none of the videos are over 5 minutes or so long, and several of them shorter than that. And then tutorial 2 is longer. It includes 16 steps. Again, none of these videos are much longer than 5 minutes. And anyway, in tutorial 2, along the way, you'll be given the choice of which video you want to watch next. And I want you to make sure that you choose the following alternatives. So they're listed here. Make sure when you're watching the video to have these choices written down somewhere. In step 3 of tutorial 2, choose choice A. In step 5, make choice A. In step 9, make choice B. In step 11, make choice A. And in step 16, make choice A. I think by making those choices, you'll get the best introductory view. I've tried to avoid the more complicated topics by making those choices. Most of them are for someone just starting off with Google AdWords. Now, while you're viewing these, every once in a while, they'll pull up your AdWords management screens, the screens that you'd actually be interacting with if you were setting up an AdWord campaign, right? And for the purposes of our class, I don't want you to be too concerned about learning how to use the management software itself. In other words, I don't think you have to be too concerned about where and what to click or enter to set up an AdWords campaign. Instead, what I want you to focus on in the tutorials is what they have to say about what AdWords is and what its management software allows you to do, what its capabilities are, what advice they're giving you about AdWords campaigns, and so on. And by the way, I have provided on Blackboard sample exam quiz questions that you can work through. There's a PowerPoint presentation with, I like to think of them kind of like flashcards like we've had on the some of the other PowerPoint slides, where you can work through and just quiz yourself on some of the information in these tutorials. So here's the link, and when you're ready, just click on that link or copy it and paste it into your browser and follow it. It will take you to a screen that says tutorial 1, tutorial 2, and you're just to work through those. Enjoy it. It's a good thing to learn about.
So, Google AdWords JavaScript code must be installed on the thank you page associated with making this purchase to track conversions. And then you could use the cost per conversion or cost per sale data to rapidly compute the return on investment for each advertisement. And that tells us which ads make us money and which ads break even and which lose money each time they're included in the campaign, which helps us make the decision to keep up a campaign, to modify a campaign, to stop a campaign, right? And third-party vendors even provide dashboards that will access Google AdWords information and provide you with this information graphically. Do you know the term dashboards? Dashboards are simply easily displayed and easily read graphs, charts that can be displayed on your computer screen so you can watch this all the time. So they provide things like you see on the following: return on investment per week, value per week by ad group, value versus cost by keyword, conversions versus clicks, right? So all kinds of information like that is provided. So pretty slick, pretty useful information, right? Well, let's move on now. We'll start it here with 2 slides and then continue it on another segment. Let's move on now to another free Google's program that helps us with this.
All right, the next tool we're going to discuss is a biggie. It's Google Analytics. You can find it at that web address. I'd encourage you to go there. I'm going to refer you later on to some tutorials related to it, but it has been and continues to be, if not the one of the greatest tools for tracking online ad campaigns and other things, by the way, about a website. Okay, Google Analytics. As I said, it is a very, very, very useful tool. I can't stress enough that it's something you at least should know a bit about. Okay? And it goes a step beyond the AdWords campaign summary that we just discussed in the previous slides and that you just learned about on those tutorials. Okay? Whereas the AdWords campaign summary focuses on the evaluation of Google AdWords advertising. Remember what AdWords ads are. They're those little ads that pop up on the search engine result pages, right? Google Analytics allows you to judge the effectiveness of all, I even wrote that in red to stress it, all internet advertising campaigns. That means email campaigns, pay-per-click campaigns, banner advertising campaigns, and any others, social media campaigns, for example. Okay? So it's very, very, very important. And Google Analytics should be, and in fact is, the, in capital letters, web analytics program of choice for small and medium-sized enterprises. I'm going to mention in a minute that big businesses use it too. But the reason it is because it's extremely useful. Its basic version is free. There is a subscription-based premium version. We won't get into talking about that much, but that is there. And as I said, large businesses use it too. So I can't stress enough that as we're talking for the next few slides about Google Analytics, and then later as I instruct you to view some Google videos having to do with analytics, I can't stress enough the value of developing some familiarity with it. And by the way, value not just for your grade in the class, but value for your career in the future.
Google Analytics gives web marketers the ability to tag the destination URL of each ad in each internet advertising channel in each of your ad campaigns. Let me read through that again slowly. It gives you the ability to do what it calls tag the destination URL of each ad in each internet advertising channel. That means it could be AdWords, but it could be banner advertising, it could be email advertising, whatever, in each of your advertising campaigns. And these tagged URLs then will be tracked by Google Analytics from the point that a shopper clicks through on an ad to the advertiser's website, from the point that a shopper clicks through on an ad to the advertiser's website, to the point where he or she completes a purchase, fills out a lead form, or signs up for a subscription. It tracks everything, right? Well, you might be saying, so what? And the so what is a big so what. Because by tagging the URLs, you'll know which ads result in which conversions. And think about that for a minute. If you know which ads result in which conversions, then in turn, this allows you to continue advertising that produces good results or produces results, and discontinue ads that yield a low return. Keep high ROI ads, get rid of low return on investment ads. Okay, you remember back when in the previous segment where I used the term JavaScript, and I said, yikes, JavaScript? Well, we're going to see another yikes here. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, did he say URL tagging? Yep, I did. But, don't worry, because we're not going to get deeply into it. You know this isn't a programming class. We're just going to take a look at a quick example of what it involves. Show you what tagging is. It's not tough at all to understand. Here is an untagged URL. Just http://www.themarketersdomain.com/special offer HTML. That's an untagged URL. And here's a URL tagged for Google Analytics. Okay? Notice that it starts off with the same thing as above, then it has a question mark, and then it has some UTM stuff. See that? Let's break that apart, take a little bit closer look at it. Okay? The tag is everything after that question mark. So I've tried to make things in different colors. I don't know how well they show up for you on the screen. But there's the question mark in red. See it toward the end of the first line? And then there are a bunch of, I'd call it code words for Google Analytics to follow. UTM underscore source. UTM underscore medium. UTN underscore campaign. See that? I mean, even those words are in English. Let's look at what tagging conventions are used in that. As I said, the question mark separates the tag from the untagged portion of the URL. It just separates the stuff Google Analytics needs from the stuff that just shows the address of your web page. The ampersand or and sign separates fields in the tag from each other. Notice it pops up, shows up there between those fields. The equals separates the field from its contents. So look at the first one, UTM underscore source. That's the source field where the ad is. Okay? And then the contents equals another website.com. That just simply tells analytics where the ad was, the URL of where the ad was. UTM underscore medium, that's the advertising medium. And on the other side of that equal sign, that tells what the medium is. In this case, it was a pay-per-click ad. Aha! UTM underscore campaign, That's the campaign tag, equals, and there's the name of the sale, holiday sale. Okay? And all that percent, to, and B indicates is that's just a space. That's what Google has to read, just to put a space in there, so when it displays the name of that campaign, it'll do holiday space sale. Okay, so not hard. Tagging isn't hard. But what it allows then is it gives Google Analytics some more information. And that additional information allows you to track up to 5 things per ad. Right? So look at that. Look at these tags and look at the 3 things in here we've tagged. There are 2 more we could have followed. We don't in this example. I've kept it simple. The campaign source, that's the website or email list where the visitor views the ad in question. Pretty straightforward. The campaign medium, UTM _ medium. The ad type, banner ad, pay-per-click ad, email ad, whatever it happens to be. Right? And campaign name, E _ campaigns, the field name. And that's just the promotion the ad's a part of. And in this case, we said it was holiday sale. So in our example, we have 3 things we're tracking. The source of the campaign, the campaign medium, the campaign name. See, we may be running this same ad campaign in more than one source. Okay? You always should use the first 3 tags, the source, the medium, and the name. Let me say that again. You always should use the first 3 tags, the source, the medium, and the campaign name. How are you going to tell your campaigns apart if you don't give them a name, right? But you also can track 2 other items that aren't used in the example, but I at least should tell you what those items are. The first is the campaign term, and what that is it's the paid search keyword that prompted the ad's display. Why did this ad come up? It's because if it's a pay-per-click ad, the searcher searched for a particular keyword or a key phrase. So you can include that. And, Google knows that for AdWords campaigns, but the tag's useful for campaigns on other search engines, for example, on Yahoo Search Marketing or Microsoft Ad Center. I would suppose on Baidu. Okay, and then the other thing you can track is campaign content, and that's used to distinguish one ad's content from another. And, for example, you could include a particular banner ad's headline here to distinguish it from another banner ad used in the same campaign. In other words, you could see which headline worked for you better. You could experiment. Okay? So, because this URL tagging stuff can seem kind of challenging, particularly to a non-techie web marketer, Google Analytics provides what it calls a URL builder that really reduces the time necessary to build the tag. Google's really good about knowing that not everybody out there is a techie. Not everybody out there is a nerd, right? So Google provides all sorts of tools, and in this case it provides a URL builder that really reduces the amount of time necessary to build a tag. And I put in the URL for that here. At some point in your careers you might find that useful.
So, what's the most important thing to take away from this so far? Okay, as far as I'm concerned, it's probably that you should tag the destination URLs for all of your ad campaigns, and that's particularly true if they're not Google AdWords ads. Let's look at that again. Okay, probably the most important takeaway from this so far. We're going to study more about Google Analytics. We're going to use some tutorials that Google has on that. But so far, from what I've said, probably the most important thing is you should tag the destination URLs for all of your ad campaigns. And that's especially true or especially important if they're not Google AdWords campaigns. Because if you do this, then you can use Google Analytics to provide the information you need to make better ad spend decisions for all of your online ads, for all of them. Not just for AdWords ads, like when we talk with AdWords, but for all. And that's why Google Analytics is so widely used. It lets businesses judge the effectiveness of their online advertising. Among other things, it does a lot of other things too. So it's pretty obvious that Google Analytics is the analytical tool used by both large and small businesses. So at this point, you need to learn more about that. And I used to include in the presentation some of my own notes on it, but it occurred to me that the best way for you to learn about it is to see what Google has to say about its own product here. So to do this, for you to learn more about it, I'd like you to watch 3 Google-produced videos, of course taking notes while watching them. And so what you're going to do to watch those is just click on the 3 links you'll find on the following slide to begin watching. I have a few more things I'd like to say before that though. One is to help you study. I've included some sample quiz exam questions over the videos on Blackboard. So just like you've had them on some of the other things we've done, like the AdWords videos, you're going to have it for this Google Analytics, these Google Analytics videos also. Another thing is, and this is just like I had said about the AdWords videos, for the purposes of this class, don't be too concerned about learning how to use the Google Analytics software itself, like where and what to click on and what to enter to actually use Google Analytics. Instead, since this is an introduction, what I'd like you to do is to focus on learning the concepts and analytics capabilities, just what it can do. And all you're doing is getting an introduction to the concepts and to those capabilities, but it's a powerful tool used by businesses small and large. So you really need an introduction to it. You need to know what can be done with it, even in the future if you're not the one doing that, but you're talking to someone about doing it, you'll have an idea of what the capabilities are. Right? So to watch the videos, please click on each of the 3 links below in the order they're listed. To make it simple, I've listed them 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 are less than 3 minutes long. They just kind of get us started. And then the length of the third, which I think is the best of the 3 and the most content rich, and it's presented in a very understandable way, the length of the third one is 30 minutes. So here they are. You're going to click and watch each one of those. Again, please take notes. You can pause it. You can back up. All kinds of things. They are, by the way, YouTube videos. And then, once you've watched them, just continue with this presentation. I'll be back with you after you've watched these.
There's affiliate program software. And remember what an affiliate program is. An affiliate program is where you have a program where other businesses who are related to yours some way or other will display advertisements for your products or your website. And when somebody clicks on that ad on the affiliate's website and they come to your website and they buy something, you give the affiliate a little bit of money, right? Well, most affiliate software can establish and manage individual affiliate accounts so that a marketer can track ads and click-throughs on an affiliate site or in an affiliate's newsletter or in an affiliate's blog, wherever. So there's software that helps you manage affiliate programs, and that software allows you to establish and manage individual affiliate accounts so that you, the e-marketer, can track ads and click-throughs on an affiliate site or a newsletter or wherever those ads are being placed, right? And that software also allows you to display banner and text ads on an affiliate site, and it enables you to do conversion tracking for each ad and for each affiliate, so you can see what affiliates are really effective to deal with and what aren't. Dr. Wilson one time, while speaking in a telephone conference with my seated class here in Springfield, said that for quite a while he ran an affiliate program, and then he realized that so many of the affiliates, the conversion was so minimal that it just wasn't worth the effort. He tracked them and he found out that. So he discontinued most of them. In fact, he may have even discontinued his affiliate program because he found out it did not have a good return on investment. Right? And most affiliate management software also allows you to calculate commissions. It allows you to calculate commissions earned by each affiliate. So think what we've said there. It lets you track ads and click-throughs on an affiliate on any individual affiliate site, whether it just be the website or an affiliate's newsletter or blog. It allows you to display banner and text ads on an affiliate site, so you're initiating the display once given permission by the affiliate. It enables conversion tracking for each ad and each affiliate, and it allows you to calculate commissions earned by each affiliate. Now, at this point, some of you are saying, aha, I see the benefit of that. But others of you are probably saying, so what? And again, it's a pretty big so what? Because the data generated by this software allow you to compute all four of the vital ad tracking statistics for your affiliate ads. Remember how we started this whole presentation? We needed those four vital ad tracking stats. Well, this allows you to compute them. It allows you. This data allows you to compute the click-through rate. It allows you to compute the conversion rate. This information allows you to compute the cost per sale. They, by the way, for an affiliate program, are the commissions earned by the affiliate. And finally, this information allows you to compute the return on investment. Okay? So we said the whole thing you want to do when you're tracking online ad campaigns is compute the click-through rate, the conversion rate, the cost per sale, and the return on investment. Well, what I'm telling you here is that affiliate program software, sometimes called affiliate management software, allows you to collect the data to compute these 4 vital ad tracking statistics for your affiliate ads.
So, affiliate program software can really provide you with the numbers you need. So the question is, where do you get it? And the answer is, it's not in short supply. To say it more positively, there are a lot of choices out there. If I were looking for it, I might search for Google the term leading affiliate program software or affiliate program software review and read some reviews and choose the package that was seemed to be most suited to my business. But especially suited to small business needs is one that's called Post Affiliate Pro, kind of a funny name, right? It's available from a company called QualityUnit.com. But you can go to this link and learn about it. And an especially good way to get an introduction to it is to watch the video that's on the destination page. In other words, if you click on this link, you'll go to a page, and very visible on that page is a video where you can learn a little bit about what Post Affiliate Pro does. Take a look at it. It'd be a good thing to do at this point. And you could also click on the link to pricing on that page. If you did, you'll find out that pricing starts at $29 a month, depending on the features you need. A lot of application service providers that are out there have various levels of features. And obviously, the more features you think you're going to use, the more they're going to cost you. But for Post Affiliate Pro, you can get a pretty robust set of features for only $29 a month. All right? Another example of affiliate program software is called CJ Affiliate. It used to be called Commission Junction, but it was acquired by another firm and they changed its name to CJ Affiliate. You can go to this web address to take a look at it, and it's designed, by the way, priced for somewhat larger businesses, but it can provide your firm with exposure to its network of literally hundreds of thousands of active affiliates. In other words, it can find affiliates for you, for your business. And it can even manage the task of making payments to affiliates. So it's a very useful affiliate management program. And a business has to meet certain qualifications when it applies for a CJ affiliate account. And if you want to learn about applying, just go to its website and take a look. I don't think it'd benefit for me to go over that during this little lecture. But it's probably worth your going and reading a little bit about CJ Affiliate at this link.
Finally, there's banner ad software. And there are 2 ways to display banner ads on other websites. You can do it through an advertising agency, or you can do it through what's called an ad network. And whenever an ad network is used, most advertisers will use special software to serve up their ads to the sites in question. And state-of-the-art advertising ad serving software can be fairly sophisticated, quite sophisticated. And most importantly here, it can assist you in obtaining the data necessary to compute the click-through rate for your banner ads. It can provide you with the information you need, the statistics you need to find out about the banner ads' effectiveness. So at this point, you should be asking.
So right now you should be asking, where do I get it? And I'll just provide a couple of examples. There are lots of different providers out there, but one is called Ad Juggler. I don't think we need to take class time to go over this, but if you'd like to learn about it, go to this link. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that Google has a banner ad program called DoubleClick, and you can take a look at it by going to doubleclick.com, looking at it. Okay? You could also just Google the term banner ad software or banner ad software reviews and take a look at a couple of programs there if you'd like. Do you know what A/B split testing is? We really can't leave the topic of banner ad software without at least a mention of A/B split testing. A/B split testing is a type of testing that, in the case of advertisements, lets you test the effectiveness of two different banner ads, or lets you test the effectiveness of the wording on two separate ads. Okay? And it's always wise to develop and test several banner ads for each campaign using A/B split testing. And when you accumulate enough performance data, you'll know then which ad or ads perform best. Okay? The way it would work, and most banner ad software has the ability to do this, is you'd tell it, okay, here are two banner ads. They're for the same ad campaign. The wording's a little bit different, or perhaps the graphics would be a little bit different on the ads. And you'd tell the banner ad software, display one half of my ads, display banner ad A in one half of my ads and banner ad B in the other half of my ads. And then you'd accumulate performance data on those. Which banner ad produced the higher number of click-throughs? And then you could launch the full-fledged campaign using the more successful ad. Good idea to do with banner ads. Even a good idea to do with other types of ads, like the wording in your pay-per-click ads on Google AdWords. So, once you accumulate enough data, you know which ads perform best, and the best performers can be displayed more frequently, while the display frequency of the poor performers can be lessened or even discontinued.
Finally, only high-end ad serving software is likely to have the functionality necessary to track conversions. So what that tells you is you should continue to tag destination URLs so that their click-through rates, conversion rates, cost per sale, and return on investment can be tracked using Google Analytics. And here again, there are plenty of dashboards that you can purchase to track all of this. There are plenty of dashboards you can purchase to track all of this.
Do you remember back when we were talking about Google AdWords, I ended the AdWords discussion by saying that there are application server providers that provide dashboards that let you easily, effectively, and graphically in one place track information on your AdWords campaigns. Well, there also are dashboards out there that let you track the effectiveness of your banner ad campaigns. And this is an example I got now a number of years ago, but it just shows you what a typical dashboard would have. I'm on the summary tab here, but notice it has a tab for marketing costs and lets you take a look at your banners, ads, and even shows you website on which the ads displayed, right? But what you can do there is select a period. You can select the products that you're advertising. You have a conversion funnel lead here that's tracking the website visits, the downloads, the valid contacts generated, qualified leads you got out of that, quotes that you provided, and closed sales from those ads. It has revenue versus marketing costs here. It has little meters down here that track cost per sale, sales per download, revenues per sale, profit per sale, right? So dashboards are available to track a lot of the kinds of data that you need to judge the effectiveness, really not only of banner ads, but all the ads that you're running online. I just chose to use it here for banner ads and back there for Google AdWords ads. But there are a lot of application server providers that provide dashboard software to track any of this information about which we've been talking. Finally, I really can't leave the presentation without just mentioning the topic of ad effectiveness and time. And this has to do with the fact that some, if not most ads and ad campaigns get long in the tooth, you might say, over time. They get old. They get old. And people study this, and those studies have shown that brand awareness on the part of customers or potential customers can decrease as time since last exposure to an ad increases. Okay? And really what you need to be aware of are the effects that time has on ad effectiveness, but we just don't have the time to get into that in more detail. But you need to know that there's a relationship. You need to know that ads can get old. Okay? And if you're really interested in that, if you want to really learn more, start by Googling the two phrases that I have on this slide: ad decay rates and ad wear out rates. Google those terms, look at some of the top organic search results, and you can learn more about this topic. So, we've come to the end of our journey into the basics of the world of web marketing. We've spent, pretty much 5 weeks on the topic. We had chapter 6 in our textbook that talked about online marketing. And then we've had these 4 weeks talking about topics that I think are good basic things to know if you're going to be involved with an e-business. What we've talked about helps you speak the language of web marketing. And now what we're going to do is dive back into our textbook for the final 5 weeks of our semester together. So take a look at your assignment schedule and see what's up for the next 5 weeks. Finish strong.